Now, let's reach out and say a special good morning to Priscilla Ramcharan, who's an author and founder of the Project Love Global. Now, what is this? We want to find out as much as you. So let's go right ahead and welcome her to Morning Barbados. Hello.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. How are
All
you
right.
today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Very good, pretty early.
Welcome to my lot in life.
Thank you for
Early is the
that.
name of the game. All right. So tell me all about Project Love Global. What is it?
Yes, ma'am. So Project Love Global is my nonprofit. I'm originally from Trinidad and Tobago, and I currently live in Pennsylvania. I always wanted to reach back to the children on the islands and help in any way possible. So I created Project Love Global to do that. So we have toy drives, we have basic needs drives, and we celebrate Christmas in July and Christmas in December with children on the islands.
All right, that sounds phenomenal. Now, I see here that you are a teacher as well. So tell me how that really feeds into what you do through Project Love Global.
Absolutely. So I teach ESL internationally online. I meet students from around the world, and I also teach SSAT prep for a nearby scholarship program that sent me to boarding school. So, as an educator, it's just so important to empower children to be true to themselves, to follow their dreams, find out what it is that they love and what tools they need to succeed.
All right, tell me about your entry into writing. I obviously see you have a significant academic background in terms of literature and things of that nature. Did that feed your desire, or was it the other way around? Were you so intrigued by these words and writing and just being an author that you pursued then studies in literature?
Yes and no. I started as a very young child. I loved writing, reading, and as an only child, there are so many options when you come home and everybody's off doing homework. There's so many options. So I always love reading and imagining what's happening in the story, and then, started writing my own stories. It wasn't until I had my two daughters and we would tell stories for hours and hours everywhere for walking, if we're in the pool, going to bed, we're always telling stories. And they were good. So I said, you know what? We need to put this into an actual book. So my eldest daughter, she is our illustrator and inspired me to write our first book, A Trini Christmas Story. Let's see if I can show you some illustrations of hers. Um, and then it just snowballed that way. So, A Trini Christmas Story was meant to give my daughters background about Trinidad because they were not born there. And it's about the culture and the food and, kind of learning not to eat too much.
Okay, so were
And
you
that's
around
kind of
were
weird.
you around in Trinidad long enough to experience Trinidadian Christmases, or did you have to do research to be able to truly share what a Trini Christmas is all about?
I've been on the island long enough to experience Christmas, but then also traveling back during the Christmas holiday season. It's just so magical with the lights and the food and the celebrations. And I heard that Trini people are just very happy people.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so tell me, I see that you are also a homeschool mom, and in this part of the region, we don't necessarily do a lot of homeschooling. So, as a teacher yourself, tell me about why you made that decision to homeschool your children.
Absolutely. So, from the very beginning, when my daughters were born, I'm just that kind of mom that I couldn't let them go. So, I started teaching at the nursery schools so that I could see them. And as they grew, I grew with them. So, we moved to private school. I taught there. But my girls have a lot of food allergies. And I noticed that the teachers were not adhering to what they could eat. And I would be getting phone calls saying, oops, they ate something. Um, can you pick them up and take them to the pediatrician? And so I said to myself, you know what? It might be a good idea to homeschool, and that way I can, know what they're eating, what they're doing, and also they can have a little more freedom and flexibility to learn from home. We found an amazing virtual charter school. So they get all of their materials, the teachers have live classes, everything's online. So for me, it was partly health reason and more so to divert from just sitting in a classroom all day. Now they have a little more freedom and flexibility to learn and pursue their hobbies.
All right. It's wonderful to hear that you also studied Caribbean literature at the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine campus. What was that experience like? Because I know going to school in the US, when it comes to literature, it's all about Shakespeare and things of that nature, Dickinson, Caribbean literature, and women's literature, and Spanish literature, kind of, they're on the other end of things. So, was it a big difference? Was it a big shift in learning more about our Caribbean from our perspective?
Not so much because I've always kept up with the Caribbean literature just on my own. And at my boarding school campus, they did have, a few opportunities to study Caribbean literature as well. But in college, I inspired the professor to create an entire course dedicated to Caribbean authors. So it's always been near and dear to my heart. But I will tell you a little secret. Growing up in the United States education system, the language is different, the accent is different. So when I did arrive at the University of the West Indies, I had a little bit of a difficult time adjusting to the academic Trinidadian accent.
All right, so that's why I asked you if you were in Trinidad long enough to be able to experience Trinidadian Christmases, because from your accent, I wouldn't even guess that you have Caribbean roots.
Understood. Well, I'll tell you a very quick story. When I first came to this country, landed in Newark, New Jersey, started going to school there, and I still had my Trini accent. But keep in mind, it was, the local tongue, not so much university level Trinidadian accents. And this one American boy said to me, "We don't understand what you're saying. Go back to where you came from." And at 9 years old, I was just like, well, yeah, that's a little impossible right now. But from that moment, that inspired me to want to perfect the American accent. And it snowballed because now I teach English as a second language professionally.
All right, let's go back to that wonderful book, Trini Christmases. It might be a great stocking stuffer. So let's hear a little bit about it, a little bit more about it. And I'm more than intrigued that your daughter, who does illustrations, also played a part. So tell me all about how this book came together, the publishing, and then having it out and things of that nature.
Absolutely. So I found out about Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing, and it's an independent publishing tool through Amazon. At first, I was looking into traditional publishing, and I was just like, stay at home mom, hadn't really started my career officially. There's no way I can go through traditional publishing. So we researched about KDP and how to upload our files, do the cover, um, and this was born. So this was inspired because we love Trinidadian food. My girls, they'll eat their roti and takari over, a hamburger or pizza any day. And so I wanted to capture the deliciousness of Trini food. So the main character is Saucy Wow, and he enters a doubles eating contest.
Saucy
and
Wow?
he
Hold on, you
saucy
said
wow.
Saucy Wow is a he in your book.
Yes.
Okay.
And so
Continue.
he
Sorry, go
entered.
ahead.
It's okay. I know. We had to come up with something unique. And because we love sauces and wow, so it just came together.
You know there is a Trinidadian artist named Saucy Wow.
I've been hearing about this and I don't know. No one's ever said a thing since 2016 when we first published. So
And she's a very popular soca artist as well. It's a girl. Her name is Saucy Wow. Denise Belfont.
you'll have to introduce me.
All right, so Saucy Wow loves sauces.
Right. And so he enters this doubles eating contest, but he wasn't truly honest. He, bypassed and somehow got away with winning the contest. But he went home now with a bellyache. He had to go to bed. He started having all these like regretful feelings and started having those guilty dreams. So towards the end, he had to confess. He couldn't hold it in any longer. So the moral of the story is to just be honest, you know, let others take credit where credit is due.
All right, good stuff. Sounds like a truly exciting book, and I would imagine it's available wherever you can find books online. Globalization of Hearts. What
I
is
wanted to
this?
talk about this one. Where am
Okay,
I?
tell me. Yeah, there you are.
Oh, there it is. So, Globalization of Hearts was inspired by the steel pan player George Rampersad, uh, here. And he currently lives in Denmark. So when I met George, I was so inspired by his story from where he first started in Trinidad and ending up in Denmark, following his passion to play the steel pan. So this is a little history in the making of George Rampersad, and that's me
All right, it's
over here.
wonderful to see that even though you have moved out of the region, you were gone from the time you were in at single digits, that you're
Yes.
still reaching back to the region and most certainly sharing some of our stories.
Absolutely. Well, globalization of hearts just means whether you're on the island or off the island, we're always connected, no matter which island you're from. You can go far and wide, but your heart is always home.
You also do a number of workbooks, I understand.
Yes, I have this one called Mindset to Self-Love. And this was inspired because, being a new mom, you're kind of on your own a little bit. You're figuring things out, and sometimes you forget to take care of yourself. So, this was meant to inspire all moms and all people in general to just remember self love is critical because if you don't have love for yourself first, how can you share love?
All right, beautiful. We definitely are going to check them out. Before you go, though, there's someone I'd love to introduce you to,
Ooh,
and her
okay.
name is Denise Belfort, aka
I know
Saucy Wow.
Denise. She's saying saucy baby, right? I know this. So I wonder
Listen,
if she would mind because
I
I
have
didn't
to
make the connection.
I have to work on bringing this Trini back out in you. Right now, I'm
Yes.
feeling more Trini than you, and I am Bajan to the bone. But we'll work on that. We'll work on that. But happy to see that you are
No comment.
you're kind of reaching across the miles and sharing all that you've learned and remember about the Caribbean and bringing that international flair to what you're sharing through your globalization.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you so much for having me on the show. If you do connect to Miss Saucy Wow, maybe she'd like to meet Little Saucy Wow
Listen,
and
as a matter
see
of
how
fact,
we
we are
can.
scheduled to have a very popular Trinidadian on the show this morning. I didn't want to expose who he is, but you keep watching, and then later
Okay.
you can tell me if you recognize who the person is, right? All right?
Will do. And I want to give a special shout out to Miss Marva Riley for introducing me to your show and to Mrs. Andrea Eccles for also introducing me to the show. We work closely together as Caribbean women authors to inspire just as many as we can.
All right. Have a good one. We definitely will be looking out
You too. Thank
for
you so
your
much.
books. All right. Take care.